So I think I've really felt like I've been a creative my whole life. When I was younger, I loved drawing, tried painting, tried all the things, started doing photography, got one of those flip cameras that had the USB thing on it that you could just plug directly in your computer. I was always trying stuff. My mom was always buying me more markers and more drawing pads, and I really loved that. And she always, hey, chill, buddy. I need you to relax for 2 seconds. I'm really excited for what this next season's gonna be on the channel. Next things we're gonna show off, and what I'm really excited for is the gallery. But I think to talk more about that, I need to take this little man home before he chews on my shoelaces much more. We'll head to the studio and we'll chat more about the gallery. Okay, we're back from the hike. It was about an hour outside, so Sarge is passed out right next to me right now, which is wonderful, and all I can ask for because he was getting a little rambunctious by the end of our little miniature hike out on the berm. Today is going to be mostly about pre-production. I'm going to give you the why and the how to what we're building and designing. Okay? So this won't be the flashiest episode of the bunch, I can promise you that, but I kind of compare it to the Super Bowl with Charlie Puth and his great rendition of the American national anthem. You got to see the kind of, finale of all the work that was put into over the past, I'm assuming, months for that kind of production quality. And so for this series, you're going to get to see all the behind the scenes, all the things, all the steps, the whys, the hows, the troubles, the good things, the hard things, all the way up to our finale where we get to see it on stage, displayed to the church, all those kinds of things. So let's start with the pre-production because I think that is crucially important for this size of project. You might be wondering, Josh, what is this size of project? Well, this gallery is for Palm Sunday, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, and onwards. And so if you are aware of the Christian kind of church calendar, there are 2 big events every year. There is typically Christmas, which we obviously passed in December, and Easter. So there's a bit of pressure on me to come up with something cool, which I think we have, and I'm going to explain what that all is. So first, my team came to me and they're like, hey Josh, we'd like for you to take creative vision for what this is going to look like. And the only stipulation, the only thing they gave me, if I can reach down, because I didn't keep this close enough to me, is this. So they're going to hold a sign, these individuals are going to hold a sign that kind of shows life transformation. So on one side, I am love. On the other side, lonely, lost. More specific than that, this is more off the top of my head. And so the original concept that they were thinking of is that we would film, a handful of people holding one side, flipping it to the other. Okay, enough of that noisy paper. So that was the original concept. And I said, great, I will take that and I will run with it. And so, around with it, I did. I went back to my office. I actually went and worked from home because I like to kind of not be distracted when I have to come up with these really larger creative visions for things. And so I went to Milanote, which we're going to jump into right now. This app is great, not sponsored, but it is a main way for me to get my vision from my head and onto the screen. This is kind of what a typical brainstorming session for me would look like working from home. Pretty much looks like that. I'm typing a lot, looking a lot over Pinterest, trying to find things. I'm rereading summaries and sometimes scriptures just to see if there's anything that strikes out to me, see if Jesus is pointing anything out to me. So this is where some of the beginning stuff that I landed on. Okay, we have this image, caterpillar to butterfly, pretty clear transformation. We have something like this. I thought someone could be walking by videos of people flipping the signs in kind of IRL with these displayed. There'd be a lot of After Effects work. Didn't really know if I could fit the vibe well, because here's one of the primary challenges that we faced with this is typically when it comes to an Easter weekend, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Good Friday is typically more solemn and sad, and Easter's obviously more happy and excited. And so usually it's like black and white or darker for Good Friday and really bright colors for Easter Sunday. Here's the tricky part. I have to have something that works all the way up from Palm Sunday past Easter. So it can't just fit those 3 Sundays, those 3 specific days. It's got to land for many more days to come. And that's not very easy. It's not something I've really done before, because usually Easter is a very different feel to like the rest of the series, or Good Friday feels very different than, a few weeks past Easter. So I took that to heart and I was like, man, I like these ideas, kind of looking for inspiration. Not entirely sure how I would design some of these, but I try not to worry about that at this point. It's just what I think looks cool and could make sense, I throw into Milanote. And then, after many hours of thinking and conceptualizing, I came to the gallery. So instead of filming everybody, we would be taking 2 photos, one with the life change on one side and one of what they've went through on the other. And I thought this kind of nailed it. A couple reasons why. One, easier to control. Taking photos, if I need to make some changes or shifts in it, video's a lot more work, especially when I need to go photograph 19 to 20 people. That is an incredible amount of work. And so I wanted to make sure that this was doable in the time frame that we have. Second, black and white for Good Friday, color for Easter. Again, I like that concept. And I also really liked how this kind of became an immersive thing. We're going to set all this up in our church that people can come see and read and look at. And that's, I think, very different than a typical series that I've done in the past. To give you some context, typically for a series, I create what we call a bumper. It's about 30 seconds. There's sometimes animation or, filmmaking involved, or, those kind of things. There's music and dialogue. And so for this, the original concept was to have the film of people flipping their boards as the bumper. What I really liked about this is that we get to build a gallery. And in that gallery, I get to set that up in our space, and then I have the necessary time to film it. So we're gonna essentially, if this was our wall, I know I could probably animate this, but this is gonna save me time. This wall is gonna have a whole bunch of photos on it. And we're gonna create a dolly system that the camera can run back and forth or to and back. And that gives me very specific, flexible filmmaking. Because a lot of this is going to be very technical with some of the ideas I have in my head and if they're achievable. And this would not have happened if we chose to film them in their homes. So I thought, hey, let's take photos and it's going to look great. And in the very center is going to be called The New Way of Life, which is what you're seeing here as the primary graphic. So this was all pitched to the team. This whole concept was pitched. They loved it. And I thought, great, we have something that we're all on the same page about. This is really exciting. Not only will it be a really cool bumper, but it'll be also very immersive for people to come read. So from there, the next steps from my perspective is A, start booking the 19 to 20 people, and B, I need to start designing what these photos are gonna look like, right? So one example, again, I put on the ground because, I'm smart. One example is something like this. This is a photo of me. I took it during my posting one photo or video every day for a full year. This is the last one I ended on, and it is inspired by The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, if you're wondering. So is it going to be something like this, where it's just the photograph with the black frame, or, and this is the concept, it's framed, so this is what we're landing on. Is it going to be something more like this, right? So photo, but we also have the description, the story that sits under here. Okay, a little bit of context for what their words are. And then we're gonna have, man, reading this on my thing is really hard. Then we're gonna have the number of the photos, so like 1 through 20, whatever it's gonna be. So this was the concept we landed on, because I really like the fact that when you're explaining some hard things you've worked through in life, a few words typically doesn't do you justice. And so the fact that we have this paragraph here that lets them expand on that, I think is great. Both, I think, could work, but the team also agreed. They love the little story part. And this only adds to the immersion part of this concept, right? That was half the point. We're going to have all these hung up. You can see it. You can read it. I think this is great. I think this is really, really ideal. So this was part of one of the big projects that I worked on this week, was getting this designed and figuring out the proper fonts. I chose League Gothic, if you're really curious, with Roboto monospaced. I'm really, really into the monospacing right now. And so this is it. This is what we're gonna put 19 to 20 different people's photos into. And depending on the day, for either Palm Sunday, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, and onward, we could have the black and white version or the colored version, which I think looks really cool. So there's a couple questions that need to be addressed next week. As we look towards stuff, as we look towards setting up the space, is one, We have a space that we've chosen in the church to set all this up for the bumper filming. But here's one main challenge, going back to my green thing, because it's really efficient. As we put the photos up here, there's essentially a door here, big gray double door, and a hallway here. And so if I want to look down the line of photos, I have to figure out either to make that pitch black or somehow add something in After Effects to extend the wall, which that I don't really know how to do. But most of these projects are me trying new things, so that's kind of exciting. And the door is the same concept on the other side. Either try to extend the wall or black out the door so you can't really see it. So there's some challenges there that we're gonna have to solve next week. Third challenge is cost, which we're not gonna get too much into because it's the church finances, not mine. But printing 20 photos, or technically 40 photos, because there'd be 2 of each, isn't the cheapest thing, and frames. So this is roughly, probably, I don't know, 10 by 16. I cut it, so it's kind of imperfect now. But I was thinking of having these being printed 16 by 20. So far bigger than this. Then we have to get frames. We have to put them all up on the wall. And I would probably get killed if I didn't use command strips. And I want those to look good. And then we have to light them well. And we have to build the dollies to film them well. So there's a handful of things that we still have to figure out to make this work. That's what it all is going to entail next week. So stay tuned for those updates. We're going to be setting up the wall, using some lasers to make sure everything's level, and seeing if we can even fit 19 16 by 20s on that wall. I don't honestly think we can, but that's next week's problem. So this week was a lot of the pre-production and planning, and that's where we sit with this. So hopefully that works. If you have any questions about this process, comment down below. I'd be happy to answer them. And yeah, that's about it. Quick shout out to Clara. We ran the half marathon this past Sunday. It went really, really well. She crushed it. Shout out to my wife for filming us as we were running. Jordy just hates running, and that's okay. But yeah, Clara, shout out to you. Absolutely crushed it. It was a really good time. Really enjoyed it. And 21.1 kilometers in the books. And looking towards many, many more. You know what? We're gonna a little show and tell time at the very end because I can. And if you watched this far, I appreciate you. So I was digging through a lot of my stuff, trying to find some things for today's video, and to kind of show that I've been a creative my whole life, and didn't really fit with the concept I came up with at the end. But look at this cute photo. Look at this. I made this when I was in like grade 1 or 2. That's Sully from Monsters Inc. Really proud of this photo. I don't know why. I just really am. And I still have it after all those years. I should probably frame it by now. But let's end the video like this. Comment Sully if you have made it all the way to the end. And comment something you're working on or something you're looking forward to. Because frankly, I'm excited to work on this project, the gallery. It's just going to be a lot of heckin' work. Okay, great. That's it. And I will see you all next week.